Chapter 71, Weapons and Skills. Yi Shu looked at the equipment editor's material library. Inside were a few uncommon materials that he had recently gathered. He couldn't use them yet. Yi Shu closed the material library and confirmed the myriad manifestation umbrella's modifications. After the modify bar completed, he withdrew from the editor. Returning to the game, he opened up the myriad manifestation umbrella to see the changes. The myriad manifestation umbrella's original form was still level 5. But after this modification, the Thousand Umbrellas sword form and gun form all rose to level 15. The weight didn't change and the attack speed stayed the same. But the physical attack and magic attack was very different from the level 15's lance form. Myriad manifestation umbrella, sword form, physical attack, 240, magic attack, 265. Myriad manifestation umbrella, gun form, physical attack, 238, magic attack, 210. Lance, sword, gun, these different class weapons naturally had a difference in attributes. Even if they were of the same class, the weapon would still emphasize different attributes. For example, within the sword class, great swords had the highest physical attack, but usually had an attack speed of 1, the slowest. Short swords had the highest magic attack and usually had an attack speed of 5, lightsabers had the highest attack speed, usually with a speed of 9. The other two kinds were the broadsword and the tachi. The broadsword had high physical attack, not as high as a greatsword, but had an attack speed of 3, slightly faster. Tachis had high magic attack, not as high as a short sword, but had an attack speed of 7, slightly faster. In this way, swordsman classes had to choose weapons based on their different habits and requirements. For example, spellblades and ghostblades were two classes that relied mainly on magic attack, so very few chose to use greatswords as weapons. Berserkers and blade masters mainly relied on physical attack, so if the short sword didn't have any special effects, then they wouldn't consider using it. Lightsabers were a special existence. Only blade masters could use this weapon. The game explained that only blade masters, who pursued the limits of the sword, could grasp these lightning-quick lightsabers. Because their attack speed was high, lightsaber attributes were similar to Tachi's, but a bit lower in physical and magic attack. At this moment, the myriad manifestation umbrella's attributes were similar to a Tachi's, but its attack speed was 5, the same level as a short sword. Compared to same-leveled Tachi's, its stats were lower by a grade. But looking at the myriad manifestation umbrella's lance form, with 290 physical attack, this was the lance with the highest physical attack among mage-class weapons. It was equivalent to the greatsword among the sword-class weapons. The lance and the greatsword originally had the same attack speed of 1, but now the attack speed was 5. The myriad manifestation umbrella's lance form was definitely a grade higher than same-leveled lances. Yi Shu examined each form again. After discovering that the editor had changed the forms, he opened up Lord Grimm's skill list. At level 20, skill points would reset once. Although Lord Grimm was an unspecialized character, he also enjoyed this same benefit. However, at level 50, other classes would have another skill point reset during their class awakening. Unspecialized characters didn't. As a result, starting from now, skill points had to be used cautiously. But with Yi Shu's 10 years of glory experience and being the person who was once called a textbook, Yi Shu was already extremely familiar with all of the skills. Right now, he only had to verify Lord Grimm's plan on skill matching. With regards to unspecialized players, all of the skills they could learn was already in front of them. Glory had 6 basic classes, which each class having 4 specialized classes for a total of 24 classes. On average, each class had 5 or so skills under level 20, for a total of 120 skills. These were the skills that unspecialized characters could learn. There was an impressive amount of skills they could learn, but because they were all low-leveled skills, their formidability naturally couldn't compare to mid to high-leveled skills. And among these 120 low-leveled skills, he still had to choose cautiously, because skill points were truly limited. Although low-leveled skills didn't need a lot of skill points, all under 30 points, due to the inherent problem of low-leveled skills, if he wanted to match them up, then he needed to plan it out well. If not, even if he had the max 5,000 skill points, it wasn't possible to max out all 120 skills. Yishu currently hadn't confirmed the final plan, but he would first learn the skills that he considered must-learns. As he leveled up, he was already prepared to go through a period of time to test things out in real combat. He checked the skill list once more to see if he missed anything. Suddenly, Yishu smelled a whiff of tea and stared blankly. He lifted his head up and looked. It was Tang-Ru holding a teacup, standing outside the reception desk. Yishu was distracted for a second. His habit of all-nighters stemmed from long ago. In the past, Sumuching always brought him green tea when he stayed all night. That girl insisted that people who pulled all-nighters needed to drink green tea. And today, he saw Tang-Ru drink a sip from her teacup. Yishu started sweating. He clearly felt a bit nostalgic. He even thought Tang-Ru was Sumucheng bringing him tea. "What are you doing?" Tang-Ru asked. "Looking at skills," Yishu said. "Oh, I can also learn skills," Tang-Ru said. "Sky Strike and Dragon Tooth." "Right. These are two very useful skills. However, leveling skills depends on your habits. First, get familiar with these two skills," Yishu said. Okay, Tang-Ru carried her teacup and left. The smell of tea lingered in the air, keeping Yishu distracted. After silently lighting a cigarette, he continued to ponder over the skills. At this moment, Blue River looked at his friends list and clicked on the online Lord Grimm. He felt an unprecedented confusion in his heart. The Blood Gunner battle was really too unexpected. Blue River's invitation to Lord Grimm was so that they could be around together more and establish a friendship. He didn't even think that Lord Grimm would show respect and help him. Kill-stealing the boss was a guild-scale activity. How much of a difference could one man's strength make? In the end, Lord Grimm's performance made everyone present shocked. He led a few players, who they reckoned he didn't know, and killed off the Blood Gunner. He had beaten the three great guilds Black and Blue. Herb Garden's guild leader Plantago Seed even died in the line of duty. Blue River didn't know how the other two guild leaders felt about Lord Grimm. In any case, it made him admire this person even more. He already recognized that this person's skill was above his. At least, in that situation, Blue River definitely didn't have the ability to bring the Blood Gunner away, even if he was like Lord Grimm and fully used the conflict between the three great guilds. Particularly, while they fought against the Undead Legion, his party of players almost killed off the Blood Gunner. This sort of damage output was even higher than their guild's elite party. 80% of all this had to be credited to Lord Grimm's leading. But admiration was admiration. In reality, Blue River also didn't feel too good in his heart. He didn't suffer many losses, but he lost a lot of face. It had to be known that he was the one who brought this player over. This player, in the end, made him feel as if he made a wasted and futile effort. Blue River felt that what Lord Grimm wasn't proper and didn't give him any face. Blue River decided that he needed to speak properly with Lord Grimm. He opened Lord Grimm's chat window and sent a message, "Brother, what you did today wasn't very nice, no?" Chapter 72, Taking Advantage of Everyone. Lord Grimm replied quickly, "Yeah, a little. F***ck. He actually confessed to it. Blue River was in total confusion. How am I supposed to reply? I should continue criticizing him, or it'd seem like I wasn't a man. I should just let it go, but it's hard to make that stifling feeling go away. Blue River felt a sort of feeling, as if he had been instantly killed. Fortunately, they were chatting through messages. There was a way for him to express his speechless frame of mind. Blue River quickly returned a bunch of ellipses as well as a sweating emoticon. "Try harder next time," Yishu replied. Blue River coughed blood. This guy didn't even take this matter to heart. What he said was true though. Wild bosses were just like looting from wasp nests. If you were stolen from and refused to accept it, then just steal it back. Criticizing others' mistakes was something only noobs would do. Wait a second. He wasn't mad about him stealing away the blood gunner. He was mad because this person didn't give him any face. The problem was that he himself was the one to invite Lord Grimm to come. But instead, Lord Grimm was the one to kill the blood gunner. He himself didn't get anything out of it. Seeing everyone's discussion in the guild channel, this was the main reason for everyone's unhappiness with Lord Grimm. As for the boss being stolen, that was everyone for themselves. For example, if Herb Garden or Tyrannical Ambition had killed it, then although they'd be unhappy, it was a different type of unhappiness, not something to be at a loss about. Perhaps the reason he was at a loss now was precisely because Lord Grimm was different from those two guilds. If those two guilds had stolen it, Blue River could hold back his feelings and take revenge later. But what should he do with Lord Grimm? Blue River tore at his hair. As it turns out, this was the reason why he was so at a loss. How do you see this situation, Bound Boat? Blue River didn't message Lord Grimm again and privately messaged Bound Boat. It looks like it won't be possible to rope Lord Grimm in, Bound Boat said. Oh? From this blood gunner incident, I think I can see his position, Bound Boat said. What do you mean? The three great guilds are all here and all want to rope him in. But he won't help any of them. He brought a random group of players not from the three great guilds and like this, smoothly killed the blood gunner, Bound Boat said. So you're saying that his skill is so great that he doesn't need to join a guild, Blue River said. I think a more accurate way to say this is, the guilds need him, but he doesn't need a guild, Bound Boat said. Blue River stared blankly. Frankly speaking, he only wants to be hired and do every guild's work, Bound Boat said. With his skill. Considering his skill, from the way he's doing things, we can see that his appetite is large, his requirements are huge, Bound Boat said. Pro player? Is he thinking of relying on this to make money? Blue River said. It's possible, Bound Boat said. But if he continues like this, there will be a time when he'll be at his limits. First kills, setting new dungeon records, there's a limit to all these things. If no one invites him, then what's he going to do? Blue River said. It's a new server, Bound Boat said. Blue River started sweating. He forgot about this. Speaking of this, if we look at previous servers, I've never even heard of a person like this, Blue River said. If there was a person like this, I'm afraid that he would have already been noticed, Bound Boat said. Then what is this guy's background? Bound Boat racked his brain. I don't know. We can't see how deep his strength goes. We can't see his reason. Up until now, he also hasn't changed classes yet, Bound Boat said. Then what type of attitude should we have for him? Blue River said. Stay in contact and continue watching him, Bound Boat said. May we should continue roping him in? Those were all just inferences we made, right? Blue River said. Okay, Bound Boat agreed and added, even if we can't rope him in, if we can establish a stronger relationship with him, then at least we'll have some sort of place in his mind. It seems like everything's reversed and we're the ones currying favor with him, Blue River sighed. Bound Boat remained silent. No matter how skilled an expert was, guilds would rope the expert in to use for themselves. But what about Lord Grimm? Why did it seem like everyone was revolving around him? Why did he seem to give off a feeling that he was the one waiting for them to give him candy? There was something wrong with this thinking. Blue River's thoughts had cleared. After breathing in deeply 2 times, he contacted Lord Grimm again. Brother, are you going to dungeon at 12? Blue River asked. At 12 o'clock, everyone's dungeon entry limit was reset and they could all begin bustling again. Maybe later, Yishu said. Together, Blue River invited. No need, Yishu started sweating. This person was very persistent. He still wanted to rope him in after having the boss stolen from him? Indeed, Yishu stole the boss to indicate his attitude towards them. He didn't want to be tossed around by the 3 great guilds. That way, no one would needlessly express their goodwill to him. If they did, then even if he insisted on refusing them, after some time, he would still feel that he owed them favors. Brother, don't be so polite, Blue River said. I've already asked others. Facing Blue River, who was acting just as he had been in the past, Yishu had no choice but to make up an excuse. Who? Blue River immediately went on guard. Could another guild have beaten him to it? Friends, Yishu said. Blue River wanted to ask, what friends, but he felt that that was a little excessive, so he could only say helplessly, then next time when there's a chance. Next time, Yishu said half-heartedly. Blue River angrily received the message. Just when he received it, he suddenly thought of something. Brother, help us first kill the Goblin Merchant. Goblin Merchant was the Frost Forest's wild boss, but it hadn't appeared yet. This time, I really did make a deal already, Yishu said. As it turned out, what he had said before really was a lie. This guy really didn't hide anything when he spoke. Blue River asked him while coughing blood, who? Tyrannical ambition. F***ck, Blue River slammed the keyboard. Confused F***ck my confusion. Now someone beat him to it? Blue River regretted his own hesitation. Seeing the chat box, he didn't know how to reply. Sure enough, Lord Grimm was the same as how Bound Boat and Blue River had analyzed him. He wanted to eat up all the guilds. But Tyrannical Ambition's players really were magnanimous. While he was confused, they had already let the matter go and made a deal with Lord Grimm. Sigh. Blue River let out a sigh. In the end, he maintained his elegance and replied, then when that time comes, we're going to be enemies. Yup. There's no need to show any mercy, Yishu said. Brother, for future wild bosses and all of the dungeon records, can I reserve them all? Blue River said. Let's talk about that when the time comes. At my level, I can't keep up with your pace, Yishu said. Brother, hurry up and level. Blue River saw that this really was a problem. He was level 24 right now. Tonight, he would definitely be level 25 after a few dungeon runs. But this Lord Grimm was still level 21. The greater the level difference, the harder it was to make up for the gap. When they were all challenging level 30 dungeons, this person would still be puffing and blowing at the level 20 dungeons. At that time, if his records were broken, then even if Blue River wanted to turn back, he couldn't. His level would be too high. Chapter 73, Sand Toss. Truthfully, the three great guilds' reaction made Yishu surprised. They appeared magnanimous and mature and deserved to be called towering great guilds. Tyrannical Ambition reacted the fastest. It wasn't very long after the Bloodgunner incident when that Endless Knight sent a message. He didn't mention the incident at all and directly invited him to kill the Goblin Merchant. The pay was easy to handle, but the most important part was the guarantee that Tyrannical Ambition would grab the Goblin Merchant's first kill. Yishu didn't object. He also had requirements from the Goblin Merchant. He had originally planned on buying the materials from the market, but now that an opportunity appeared, he obviously wouldn't let it go. Upgrading the Myriad Manifestation Umbrella truly required a wide variety of materials. He was already level 21, but he still hadn't upgraded the every form of the Myriad Manifestation Umbrella to level 15. Fortunately, this was a silver weapon, or else it would have become outdated already. Tyrannical Ambition responded quickly, while Blue Brook Guild was slightly slower. From Blue River's words, Yishu could see his confusion. Yishu completely understood him. Unfortunately, because of his state of mind at this time, Blue River lost a significant opportunity. As for Herb Garden, Yishu didn't receive any messages. Herb Garden's players had never contacted him face to face. The boss respawned at random times. So for killing the Goblin Merchant, he couldn't say when. However, after all these years, everyone knew how to deal with it. In any case, they had to do what they had to do first. After finding the wild boss, they could go over. So when 12 o'clock arrived, everyone still formed parties to dungeon. Yishu received Seven Fields' message asking whether he was going to Frost Forest. Brother Expert had actively called for them to kill the Bloodgunner, which moved these few players. They felt that they had gotten closer with Brother Expert. Seeing that it was 12 o'clock and they had dungeon entries again, they immediately contacted him. Are you missing players? Yishu asked. Yeah, we're missing one, Seven Fields said. Oh, then I'll be there right away, Yishu said. Dungeons were work that had to be done every day. They were the main source of experience and money. Even if he hadn't received Seven Fields' invite, Yishu would have joined a random party. At least with these few brothers, he had priority over his requirements. Getting this benefit wasn't easy. After Lord Grimm moved to Frost Forest, Yishu unexpectedly saw that noob brawler Steamed Bun Invasion. Why is it you? Yishu was baffled. Sweeping over everyone, he saw that Sleeping Moon wasn't there again. Did that little guy still hate him? Yishu didn't know. Sleeping Moon hadn't added him as a friend yet. It's me. I'm following these big bros to learn. Steamed Bun Invasion was very modest. Although Yishu knew that this guy was a noob, his hand speed was quite quick. Sleeping Moon played all day, so he went offline. Immersed Jade also couldn't pull an all-nighter again, Seven Fields explained. Oh, I can't do it tomorrow either, Sunset Clouds regretfully said. And you, brother expert, Seven Fields seized the opportunity to hear about Yishu's work and rest. From these 3 days, he could see that brother expert played all night every day. I'll still be playing during the night, Yishu laughed. They formed a party and the 5 entered the dungeon. Although this Steamed Bun was a noob, he was the highest level among the 5 of them, level 23. Everyone chatted and asked about this. Then they knew that this guy played too crazily. When the server opened, he played for 24 hours without resting. On the second day, he carelessly slept a bit and then continued playing. From the start to now, it had been 48 hours. He spent 6 hours eating and sleeping, so he played for 42 hours. That was comparable to the Great Guild's rotating. Everyone sighed and then began killing monsters. As before, Yishu led them and everything went smoothly. After sand toss, it's best to not immediately rush up and attack. These are only monsters, so it's a bit better. But if this was PK, as soon as they lose vision, experienced players would definitely use a horizontal sweep or a similar attack in front of them. Yishu found time to instruct Steamed Bun Invasion. Then what should I do? Steamed Bun Invasion consulted. Stupid, go around the back to attack. They can't see anyways. Seven Fields and the others also spoke as instructors. Going around the back is one method. Yishu didn't directly deny Seven Fields and the others' teaching, however, that method takes time, wasting some of the precious seconds of blind. Actually, the best method is not to use sand toss as an opener. It's best to use it in the middle of a combo. When fighting hand to hand, it's best to use sand toss to catch them off guard. At the same time, you guarantee that even if you miss the blind, you still have other options. So you're saying that it's best not to completely place your hopes on the blind, Steamed Bun Invasion said. Correct, opening up with a sand tosses blind and then attacking is an outdated method. Besides new players, no one uses it like that anymore. Besides new players, no one would fall for it either, Yishu said. Then if you're opening with a sneak attack? Then can you use sand toss? Steamed Bun Invasion asked. This, you can, after Yishu replied, he started sweating. New strategies really did replace the old ones as time went on. Nowadays, even a noob's reasoning was so despicable. But I also can't completely place my hopes on blind for the follow-up attack, Steamed Bun Invasion summarized the main point. Yup, Yishu said. I understand now. Steamed Bun Invasion felt that he learned this and was very satisfied. After that, he started practicing on monsters. While testing his attacks, he looked for an opportunity to use sand toss. Stupid NPC monsters wouldn't turn their head away like players would to avoid the blind method. Steamed Bun Invasion used sand toss pretty well. Brother expert, when are you going to bring us to kill the goblin merchant? Seven Fields and the others asked. These guys were also very greedy. That. I already agreed to help Tyrannical Ambition, Yishu said. Tyrannical Ambition? Seven Fields and the others became gloomy. Are you going to join them? Nope. Then I'm just going to help them kill the goblin merchant, Yishu said. Hired? Seven Fields and the others asked. They were familiar with this term too. Dungeoning parties often had hired players. These mostly appeared in medium to small guilds. This was because these medium to small guilds' strength wasn't enough, so they couldn't beat a few dungeons. In order to obtain equipment to raise their stats, they would sometimes hire experts to help them. But hiring never showed up in the three great guilds. How could the three great guilds not have experts? What type of dungeon couldn't they clear? What boss couldn't they beat? They were the game's peak team strength. If even they couldn't do it, then no outside hired hand could help. But now, Brother Expert was actually hired by these three great guilds. This wasn't selling himself to slavery. This felt like they were asking a celebrity to tour around with them. He was a star that demanded a fee to appear on stage. Seven Fields and the others were both envious and in admiration. Thinking of the beginning when they tried to rope Brother Expert into their Full Moon Guild, they really were ashamed. Even the three great guilds paid him to appear on stage. For their Full Moon Guild, 50th ranked in the Heavenly Domain, even giving Brother Expert the guild leader position wasn't sufficient. While they talked, a message flashed. Yi Shu opened it. It was Endless Night, the goblin merchant has appeared. I'm in the middle of a dungeon, Yi Shu regretted. Same. Everyone's in a dungeon. Let's contact after we come out, Endless Night said. Chapter 74, Understanding Information. 12 o'clock. Not all of the level 20 and up players, but most of them, were clearing dungeons. It was the new server's third day. Everyone continued their crazy training state of mind. As for players level 20 and below, having not left the beginner village yet, Frost Forest was completely unrelated to them. When the goblin merchant was discovered, who found it first or how many players had discovered it, no one knew. In short, now that Tyrannical Ambition received the info, they immediately notified all of the guild members. Those who weren't in a dungeon hurried over. Those who were in a dungeon increased their pace. Naturally, Yi Shu was notified too. The goblin merchant has spawned. Let's speed up. I need to hurry over there. Yi Shu led the party and increased their pace. Seven Fields and the others were envious, but they didn't waste time. With Yi Shu's powerful leading, they advanced quickly and overthrew the Frost Thane in 28 minutes. After leaving the dungeon, Yi Shu contacted Endless Night. They had also already left the dungeon. At this moment, they were heading over to the goblin merchant. After asking for its location, Lord Grimm immediately rushed over as fast as he could. Seven Fields and the others wanted to watch the exciting battle and Yi Shu didn't block them. The dungeon resided in the Frost Forest jungle. The vast unimportant areas outside the dungeon were leveling areas. Along the way, Yi Shu saw quite a few also running in the same direction as Lord Grimm. After all, Frost Forest was unlike from Boneyard because this place was more populated. For wild bosses, the three great guilds were never the only guilds there. Quite a few guilds also actively participated in this event. Moreover, there was no lack of opportunities. After all, the three great guilds constantly held each other back. Yi Shu wasn't the only one who took advantage of this situation. I see you. While running, he suddenly received a message. Yi Shu looked and saw that it was Endless Night. He glanced around left and right and sure enough, he found that guy. Endless Night sent an invite over. After Lord Grimm left the dungeon, he had already left Seven Fields' party. Yi Shu accepted the invite and joined the party. Evidently, this was Tyrannical Ambition's main party. The party leader was their guild leader Cold Knight. Welcome, Lord Grimm, Endless Night typed out in the party channel and sent a clapping emoticon. The string of players below copied him and also clapped. Yi Shu didn't hesitate and returned a cupped fist emoticon to show his respect. The two sides linked up and used voice to communicate. There are a lot of people, Yi Shu said. Yeah, the three great guilds aren't the only ones here this time. There are a lot of players who came here to get in on the action. Besides Herb Garden and Blue Brook Guild, what other guilds are relatively strong? Yi Shu asked. Excellent Dynasty, Samsara, Misty Castle, Void Walk, Blossom Valley, Howling Heights, 301. Okay. Yi Shu found that Endless Night had tendency to never stop talking. It's just that there are too many powers with the strength to kill the goblin merchant, Endless Night said. With such a complicated situation, Lord Grim, what do you think is the most important point? Guild leader Cold Knight asked. Aggro. Yishu hit the nail on the head. Whichever side can stabilize the goblins' aggro will be able to take the initiative. But you have to know, whoever pulls the goblins' aggro will also pull every other player's aggro too, Cold Knight said. So the person who pulls the aggro can't be the only one, Yishu said. Can't be the only one? Right, form a full DPS party. The damage output has to be able to completely restrain the boss and guarantee that at any time and anywhere, if any person hears the command, they can immediately OT, Yishu said. Exactly how much do you like full DPS parties? Endless Knight ridiculed. Won't a lot of players die? Cold Knight said. If you completely use the jungle, then there might not be a lot of deaths, Yishu said. How exactly are we supposed to do this? Cold Knight asked. Give me 5 level 20s and up with purple weapons to output damage. No problem, Yishu said. No problem. Everyone in this party has a purple weapon, Cold Knight said. I have an orange weapon, Endless Knight showed off. Cleric, behave yourself, Yishu said. What classes do you want? Cold Knight asked. All long-ranged would be the best, Yishu said. I'll call people, Cold Knight said. Clearly, his party didn't have 5 long-ranged classes. They'll be here soon, Cold Knight informed. Weapon info. Wait a moment. Cold Knight went to gather their weapon info. He then sent them one by one. Gunners were completely long-ranged classes. Besides them, mages and spellblades possessed a certain amount of long-range strength. Of the 5 players that Cold Knight gathered, 3 were gunners, a sharpshooter, a launcher, and a spitfire. The other 2 were an elementalist and a spellblade. Their weapons were all purple and ones that their class were proficient in. After glancing over them, Yishu asked, their skill levels? Cold Knight ran over again and asked them. In a moment, he gathered the 5 players' skill choices and levels to him. Do you still have a brother? Please tell me everything at once. Please. Cold Knight's cheeks streamed with tears. He was the guild leader. Running back and forth like a secretary. What was this? I mainly want to understand these 5's ability to output damage, Yishu said. If you told me earlier, then wouldn't letting you see their player profiles be good enough? Cold Knight cried. Their ability to output damage isn't the same as their damage numbers. What special effects do the weapons have? Did the equipment add any additional skills? How much damage do their skills do? Does the player profile have these? Yishu said. Brother, I was wrong. Cold Knight's cheeks streamed with tears and went to ask again. After understanding the equipment, Yishu said, okay, I've understood these. Is there still anything on the player profile that I can see? No need, right? Cold Knight wasn't sure if this was a rhetorical question or a question he should answer, so he had not choice but to answer it. You 5 players hurry up and get into position, Yishu said. You're leading this party to do damage. What about us? Cold Knight asked. Our party is for pulling the aggro. You guys are the damage, Yishu said. Cold Knight teared up. It looked like he was a noob. What to do? What to do? Look, it's the goblin merchant. Yishu took in the information along the way. Everyone in front of him never stopped until they finally reached their destination. And when they looked, they saw a scene filled with noise and excitement. Players were everywhere, shouting to capture the goblin merchant. This goblin merchant was also green-skinned from head to toe, but his appearance didn't look as crafty as the goblins in the dungeons. It looked very simple and honest. It carried a massive backpack on its back and vigorously ran in the forest. From time to time, it would fish out something from its backpack and threw it. Firecracker, grenade, Molotov cocktail, brick, wine bottle. Anything was possible. It hadn't been that long since the first players discovered the goblin merchant. At least, they still hadn't surrounded it yet. The goblin merchant that was leading around the parties muttered words in a language that no one understood. After throwing a Molotov cocktail, the scene transformed into a sea of fire. and the goblin merchant lightly and quickly leapt off a tree stump. A sword light flashed and streaked across the dusky forest. The sword wind swept up the dried-up leaves on the ground, which fluttered up in a straight line. The goblin was accurately slashed in midair and fell to the ground. Blade Master Skill, Sword Draw. A player came out from behind the tree, Blue River. Chapter 75, Losing the Fight for the Monster. Indeed, Blue River was a rare expert. This sword draw was accurate and precise. The sword arrived before the person and landed a beautiful aerial attack on the goblin merchant. If this was 7 fields, it'd be difficult for him to do this move. Blue River followed up with a triple slash. This was an attack and movement Blade Master skill. Just before the goblin merchant hit the ground, his character swiftly slid forward and shua 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 3 sword lights and 3 marks of blood flew through the air. Upward slash. Blue River slashed again with his sword, ready to knock the goblin merchant into the air. When suddenly, an eccentric battle lance flew by. Blue River saw this weird battle lance and his heart tightened. He shot a glance and sure enough, it was Lord Grimm. 1 sword and 1 lance headed towards the goblin merchant together. The sword was fast, the lance was long. Which would arrive first? Was it me? Blue River felt that the uppercut he made with his sword arrived at the same time as Lord Grimm's stab. But by the time the goblin ate his attack, it had already risen higher up into the air. The battle lance stabbed forth. The goblin merchant was immediately drawn across a semicircle and was thrown onto the ground next to Lord Grimm. Circle swing. Both of their skills hit the goblin merchant. Regretfully, Lord Grimm used a seizing skill. By the time the goblin merchant was shaken off, he was already in front of Blue River, blocking his path. Lord Grimm's face was in front of him, but his character's face was always so empty. Blue River didn't know what Lord Grimm's mood was, but he knew that he himself was very calm. Without hesitating, he swept across with his blade, slicing towards Lord Grimm. Lord Grimm leapt backwards, dodging the attack. Mid-leap, he was positioned behind the goblin merchant. Suddenly, a sky strike hit the goblin merchant. Immediately following, a falling flower palm exploded onto the goblin merchant's body. The goblin merchant went flying, smashing towards Blue River. Too quick. At this moment, personally fighting against Lord Grimm, Blue River finally experienced how fast this guy's operation was. Just before, when he used a sky strike, did he even finish jumping backwards? He actually hit the goblin merchant so precisely in midair? The following falling flower palm was even more ridiculous. Was the goblin merchant really already in the air when he used it? If it really was still collapsed onto the ground, falling flower palm didn't have an on-the-ground effect. On the ground was a type of attack in Glory. It was a pursuit attack targeting the opponent on the ground. Falling flower palm was a straight-line skill and wouldn't be able to hit a target on the ground. He first used a sky strike in order to let the goblin merchant into a mid-air state. Only then would the falling flower palm hit it. In Blue River's eyes, he only felt that Lord Grimm's backwards leap, sky strike, into falling flower palm was inconceivably quick. He couldn't even tell if he had hit the sky strike or the flower palm, when the goblin merchant had already flew towards him. All in all, Blue River's strength wasn't ordinary either. He immediately guarded when the goblin merchant smashed into him. The goblin knocked against his sword blade and Blue River slid backwards a step, but in the end, Blue River wasn't knocked down by the strike. His main goal wasn't to fight Lord Grimm, but rather to steal the goblin merchant. Blue River's train of thought was exceptionally clear. It was just that he didn't have a skill like Circle Swing that could throw the goblin to the side and increase the distance between the goblin and Lord Grimm. Blue River could only increase his damage output to establish the goblin merchant's aggro onto himself and let it come to him. Rise and Fall, Falling Light Blade. Unfortunately, the current Battle Master was a class without any on-the-ground skills. In the end, right when he leapt up and slammed towards the ground, before he could pull out his sword, a sword light swept out towards him. The speed was too quick for Blue River and the attack was filled with tyranny. Blue River saw blood blossom out from his head as he was hit in midair and flew backwards. He only had one thought in his head: impossible. He clearly saw that when Lord Grimm used sword draw, he didn't switch weapons in his inventory. He directly pulled out a sword from the handle of that eccentric battle lance. After the sword light flashed, it disappeared. Blue River looked again and saw that Lord Grim didn't have a sword in his hand. Did his eyes imagine it? Blue River believed that he didn't. But he couldn't understand what had just happened in that instant. Blue River didn't tumble. When he landed on the ground, he immediately rolled forward and used quick recover to avoid falling to the ground. At this moment, the distance between himself and the goblin merchant increased once again. Blue River impatiently ran forward. Boom! Another boom rang out and Blue River was thrown into the air. F***ck. Blue River cursed secretly. This was his own mistake this time. He only focused on getting close to the goblin merchant and forgot that the boss would release a shockwave when it got up. Otherwise, the boss would stay on the ground, unable to get up. The shockwave hit Blue River into the air, but he once again used quick recover to avoid falling to the ground. He looked and saw that Lord Grim skillfully jumped to avoid the shockwave and had already rushed up to the goblin merchant. He directly used fling and threw the goblin farther away. Over there, numerous tyrannical ambition players swarmed around it. In the short fight over the boss, Blue River lost. But he knew that this was far from over. Everyone on the field, including their Blue Brook Guild, definitely wouldn't let tyrannical ambition casually kill off the goblin merchant. Have you arrived yet? Yishu controlled Lord Grim to rush towards the tyrannical ambition group. After slashing a few times to stabilize the aggro onto the goblin merchant, he asked this question. Almost here, Cold Knight was even more anxious than Yishu. This goblin merchant had already been pulled. A large crowd of players had already rushed towards that area. However, the goblin merchant was currently in tyrannical ambition's hands. Many hesitated for a bit. They didn't just give up on the boss and hope that someone stood out and rushed forward. After all, in their hearts, none of them wanted to directly clash with tyrannical ambition. Of course, not all of the players were afraid of tyrannical ambition. Blue Brook Guild's players weren't scared at all. The Blood Gunner incident was still vividly in their minds. The reason that matters turned bad was because the three guilds hesitated. They were all afraid of going forward and being attacked from behind. This time, Blue River was exceptionally decisive. Without even thinking, he took the lead and rushed up. More than a dozen Blue Brook Guild experts followed closely behind him and equally matched the current group of tyrannical ambition players. Scatter, Yishu commanded. Cold Knight and the others followed his orders and scattered in every direction. The goblin merchant was once again struck flying by falling flower palm. That Spitfire and Elementalist were in the left and right position. Most of their figures were hidden behind a tree. When their skills were off cooldown, they suddenly stuck their heads out and attacked the goblin merchant. Cold Knight led a group of close combat experts, but didn't go up to surround it. They only paid attention to its move path. From time to time, when this goblin merchant passed by a tree, a player would suddenly pop out and punch or slash at the boss. Blue River was dumbstruck. He had never seen anyone fight the boss like this before.